Hey all, second to last tour of the season here. We got some fun stuff. Was finally able to bring Claire. Um, she used to be like my main go-to for war for a very long time, and just haven't found many opportunities for her. But we'll get to that later. So first up, we have this Kinetic Transference Green Goblin. This can be a pretty annoying placement for anybody whose name isn't Magic, and even with her, you usually want to use a power boost. There are other ways to deal with it, but I figured that a 40% reduction to the kinetic transference meant that he wasn't going to go red on me, and he probably wasn't even going to get to his special 2 unless I wanted him to. And sure enough, like, we're blocking these. Also, Reed's evade chance is coming into play, so we're not even blocking all of them. He's gaining very little power. One more of these, and now we have the passive up. Now, at this point, what I should have done is I should have just chained special ones until the end, because I already am guaranteed 4 charges at the end of this, and I don't really need to stack the debuffs again to get control of the fight. Because unfortunately, Reed's just hitting too hard at this point, and by throwing that special 2, yeah, I get that last stack of the debuffs, but that was a total waste because now I'm only getting 4 charges. And if I had thrown a special 1 and then maybe parry heavied, I could have gotten up to 7 from that. And so I would have been at 8 right now instead of 5. So now we have this Symbiote Supreme, pretty basic node. I was considering not using Petrify because when he gains less power, which he can only do through ability power gain, and therefore Petrify is cutting it down, if he gains less power, then I gain less power. And therefore I'm not able to double up his buffs and all that, or his debuffs. But ultimately what I decided was, if this fight is going to go south, it's going to be because Mystic Dispersion gets out of control. And so I might as well use Suppression to make sure that Mystic Dispersion is not nearly as dangerous. And I don't know if he's running it because I also don't plan to trigger any buffs, but you know, you want to be. You want more than just a plan A if plan A is just, don't have anything go wrong. So notice how he's basically almost dead and hasn't thrown a special yet. So there I did trigger buff, took some damage. What I should have done there is I should have waited, and then I should have stepped back into that special 1 to get those 2 more debuffs. Again, just not great charge management. It kind of threw me off how quickly both of those guys died. And sure, Symbiote Supreme was a 5-star, which is more fragile than what we're normally used to looking at. But I'm pretty sure that Annihilus was rank 3, and he just... Or sorry, that Green Goblin, and he just folded. Annihilus is coming up. So now we get to the Claire part of this. I've taken this Magneto many times with Torch because there is a window after his heavy where the unstoppable goes away, but he's still in his heavy animation, so you can cleanly hit him. And if you miss it, he usually will charge in after you. And I'm very comfortable doing that with Torch. I was not as comfortable doing that with Claire. So this is going to be a longer fight. But basically the idea here was that I would be going for intercepts. It doesn't matter if I take block damage because I'm going to be healing. I'm staying in blood phase because if I miss a special evade and he lands bleed on me, I'd prefer to be immune. So I did go in there and test to see if I could get that that unstoppable down. See, there being bleed immune came in handy. To see if I could get that unstoppable down. And it worked okay. We did gain power from it because of Mystic Dispersion, but he could have comboed me, right? And now I've used one of my indestructible charges, so I only have 2 left, which means that if he uses a 5-hit combo, I could be taking 3 at full strength. At this point, I'm like, you know what? We had our fun. Let's just be a little safer. We are still definitely winning the health race, and we're at no risk of timing out. accidental parry there, thankfully with it on cooldown, but we don't want to hit into him because one eye open will reflect all damage, right? So we're just going back to intercepts. Landing that bleed on him is not ideal because he heals so much from it, but we don't want to end in a light because that would switch us out of this safe phase. And I also don't want to just do 4-hit combos because then he's gaining less power and we're gaining less power. And he's more likely, or he's less likely to give us openings after his specials, and I would have access to fewer special 2s and therefore fewer buff immunities, which do give me some windows to safely retaliate against his heavies. Because he only gets the unstoppable if he's able to gain buffs at all, right? So there are definitely other ways to do this, much faster ways to do this, and other champions that do it really well, like Captain America Infinity War is a common one here. But I've seen Claire do this before. I was confident I wouldn't time out with her, and this is just the slow, steady, safe way through this. I'm realizing right about here, though, I'm definitely not going to be carrying my invulnerability boost into the next fight. And there we go, decent amount of healing. If that last one had crit, this would be done, but there we go, we get a safe opening. Still no crits. Claire is usually a little more reliable than that, but that's okay. So here's where I'm going to do something fun. I'm baiting out this special so I don't get hit, but I notice that he's at 3%. I have deep wounds maxed, which means that even though Magneto is resistant to actual bleed damage, he is not resistant to the instant damage, the direct damage, that is applied if you apply a bleed when you have more health than the opponent. And since I definitely had more health than him, and it's 1% per bleed, and he had 3% health, I figured that would do it. Kind of a fun little way to end the fight. Anyway, combat regen for Annihilus, because at this point in the season, potions are a lot more precious to me than these boosts. We just have so many of them. Anyway, accepted that first hit because that caused him to gain an unstoppable buff, which we let expire, gave us a little bit extra power. Then we stepped back into a light. We did throw a medium in that combo, but the light was the first one because the spacing's better on that. And then we were basically at an L2. Landed one more hit, got that buff immunity up. Being careful not to stun him. If this fight goes south, it's going to be via an accidental stun. But because I'm confident with the step back, this is basically just a case of waiting for his special attacks. This one is much easier than Magneto because he gives us so many openings every time he charges. I gotta admit, I'm usually not the best at Annihilus' special 1 evade. Like, I've practiced it plenty, I get it enough, but I have something of a history of getting hit with it as Claire and then just healing back up. So the fact that I've evaded it so far has been kind of nice. Anyway, probably should have thrown the special to there, but my plan there was, okay, well, I'm going to end this combo with a light. If I don't crit by then I'll be able to throw it with Power Steal up and he won't go red. So I knew what I was doing and being aggressive there, but it turns out I did crit and he was done. We have Killmonger against MODOK on 55 one more time. Done this plenty. Remember that triggering the auto block is actually a good thing on this node because it gives him a little bit extra power and gets him to that special 1 first. So it looks like he's not actually running willpower. I don't think I noticed that at the time because the only reason that I threw the petrification pre-fight on was for the possibility of willpower. But the debuff siphoner is still nice. I also know, though, that that second heavy was close enough on the parry stun that I don't have any more stuns left. I'm not going to try and refresh them with any more heavies. If I get the specials in, cool, we'll be doing more bleed damage. If I don't and they fall off, no big deal. It is possible to play this fight carefully and move up to the special 2 or even the special 3. I've had some dramatic finishes in the past, but you really don't need to. Especially if you are managing True Strike and Reverb properly. Killmonger has more than enough damage to take this down quite quickly. As you can see, we may even do this in less than 90 seconds. It's just going to depend on crit luck. But just spamming special ones for those easy openings, yep, less than 90 seconds. You spam special 1 for those easy openings when he charges in, and use the counter punch so that you never have to worry about brute force. Very simple fight. Anyway, we did end up winning this one. It was not nearly as clean as we were hoping. We died significantly more than our last few, and it was pretty evenly across the alliance, honestly. I'm not really sure what happened. It was just like bad mojo for us this weekend. I don't know. But we did win. As I've said before, I don't think our odds of hitting Master are great unless, exactly the right people lose for us to leapfrog over them. But that's okay. We just want to keep winning, keep getting our war rating up, and set ourselves up well for next season. And I think that we're doing a really good job of that. If we do this last war of this season the way that we have been playing, we'll be fine. So I hope everyone else's seasons are coming to a good close. Hopefully most of you are locked into the reward tier that you want, or at least have been expecting at this point. If not, then an extra good luck on your final wars. And I will see y'all for the next one. Take care.